You're listening to the Balanced Educator Podcast, episode number 112. Welcome to the Balanced Educator. We're your hosts, Kaylee
and Josiane from EduCalm. Our intention is to equip and empower you to feel more calm, balanced, and joyful in all aspects of your life.
Hello there and welcome. We are so excited to have you here today. So, being a first-year teacher comes with many challenges. In this episode, we're interviewing Amélie Bauch. Amélie is a first-year grade 2 French immersion teacher that uses EduCalm Classroom. In this episode, we talk about why Amélie decided to use the EduCalm Classroom Social-Emotional Learning Program. We talk about what the routine is in her classroom. We talk about the hurdles she's encountered and how she overcame them. And we talk about how EduCalm Classroom is helping her to reach her goal of improving her classroom management skills. Amélie also shares her advice for first-year teachers and any other teacher that wants to incorporate social-emotional learning and mindfulness into their classrooms using our program, EduCalm Classroom. Before we dive into this super helpful episode, we're so excited to share today's sponsor. Now, in this episode, we talk about classroom management. And this week's sponsor, Time Timer, is such a great tool for classroom management and for helping students learn to manage their time. So Time Timer is a visual timer that makes it really easy to see time as it passes because it looks like a circle. You kind of drag the color of the circle to the right amount of time. And then once you start the timer, that colored portion that becomes kind of like a fraction on your timer disappears as the time passes. I inherited a time timer in one of my first classrooms, and I've been hooked ever since. It's such a great tool. They now also, in addition to their physical time timers, they also have a desktop time timer, which I am loving. You can set several timers for different times. You can give them different names and you can give them different colors. So either you can kind of have your bank of timers that you know you're going to use throughout the school day, and it makes it really easy to just click on the right timer for the right task, or you can set up different timers for different groups or different activities. Super flexible, super visual, super useful. Definitely check them out. If you want more information or if you want to purchase a time timer, go to timetimer.com/educalm. Again, that's timetimer.com/educalm, and that's spelled EduCalme. All right, let's get into the interview. Hello there, Amélie. Thank you so much for being here with us today.
Thanks for having me.
We are really excited to chat with you today because this is leading into the new school year. This episode's coming out in August. So we're really excited to get your perspective as someone that has just finished up their first year of teaching. So can you start off just by introducing yourself to us?
Yeah, my name is Amélie and I teach grade 2 French immersion. It's my first full year. I did a term in the springtime, just 3 months. But now I'm learning how to manage a class right from the start, right from September. And it's really been a learning curve. Yeah.
Learning curve is right. I totally remember my first year of teaching. It was so exciting and it was overwhelming and it was amazing and it was stressful. It was like all the emotions.
Yeah, for sure. Me too.
And so much learning, like so much learning, which is awesome. So I'd love to know, if you're willing to share, kind of when you were going into this first year of teaching in your own classroom, what was kind of your biggest worry?
My biggest worry is that it's a new school. I don't know the students. I wasn't able to attend the transition meeting, so I wasn't really sure what to expect with my students. So I guess classroom management was really one of my goals this year with my group of students.
Makes total sense. I remember the jitters of that first year, and yeah, just so much to learn, like how a school runs in addition to actually being in your classroom teaching brand new students. I totally can empathize with that. So I'd love to know now, what made you decide to use EduCalm Classroom in your classroom this year?
Yeah, so last year during my practicum, I had access to the EduCalm free trial. And I tried that out during some lessons with my students. And we also incorporated some yoga. So we started a routine, my cooperating teacher and I, in my practicum, where every morning after the first recess, we would have an EduCalm or a yoga time to relax and find our calm again, be able to be ready to learn. And that was a perfect time for us because we had no preps. So I really enjoyed it, and I found it really made a difference in the students' behaviors for the rest of the day.
Awesome. So when you were getting into using the full program this year, what did you notice when you jumped in there and you saw all the content? Was that overwhelming to you, or were you like, okay, I know exactly how I'm going to start? How did that feel for you?
I was really excited about all the different modules and seeing all the different kind of audios there were. I started off with the one that is included in the free trial just because that's what I knew best and I knew how to teach it. But as the months went on, I tried the new ones, and I was experiencing it for the first time, just like my students were.
And how did that go for you?
I really enjoyed it, and for me, it's a really great time to relax in the morning and just start the morning off on a positive note. So we love it. My students were excited as well because they had tried out the free trial in their grade 1 classes, and they've been enjoying doing the whole program this year.
That's awesome. So can you tell me this year, what does the routine look like for you and your students for EduCalm?
So every morning after I take attendance, we find a spot on or around the carpet. That's where I find we're able to focus on our breathing and our practice better. And then on the projector, I will project what poster you have in that lesson. And we will listen to the audio. On Mondays, we do it in English so we can learn the vocabulary. And I actually took that tip from another one of the EduCalm teachers. I heard her doing that, so I was like, that's a great idea. English on Mondays, French for the rest of the week. And after we are done our practice, we do a sharing circle of how we're feeling. So we always share in French. We start with Je me sens, and we're able to have some conversations in French right first thing in the morning.
That's awesome. And do you find that that's helping your students to develop their French vocabulary around like feelings and just kind of those everyday vocabulary words that sometimes don't come up in the classroom? Are you noticing a change there?
Yeah, it's really been helpful developing their vocabulary. And I have an emoji poster that I project after our EduCalm practice. So if they are not sure what the word is they're looking for, they can look to the emojis poster and let us know how they're feeling. And maybe if they're feeling sad, if they would want to share, we will have them share it. And we'll know that that friend might need a little bit more help or a little bit more hugs that day.
That's so great. I love that idea of putting up an emojis poster. I haven't heard that yet. That's really great. Great idea. I always love hearing how teachers you start with our program and then you always pull in some of your own ideas and own things. So it's so fun to hear that. Awesome. So, I'd love to know in your classroom this year, how have you used the contents of the units of EduComm Classroom? So in the EduComm Classroom program, there are 10 units. So that's enough to last you the whole school year. You have a lesson for every day of the year. Now, some teachers end up using all the lessons. Some end up not getting through it all. Some end up spending more time in some areas than in others. So I'm just curious, how did you use the contents of EduComm Classroom this year?
So I've been doing about one module per month, and we'll do one audio for the whole week so we can practice it and learn all about it. We did one of the booklets, so practicing writing how we're feeling, not just sharing it in our sharing circle, and drawing how we feel. And we've been practicing like the different breathing techniques when we need a break or we need just a mind break. So we will do the 5-finger breathing or the sun breath. They really like those visuals. So we'll do that throughout the day.
Awesome. So you said that when you were going into this first year, kind of your main goal was classroom management. How do you find that EduComm Classroom is supporting that classroom management piece?
So it helps us start the day off in a calm way, and it also really helps. I have all these different strategies I can use anytime. Anytime we need a break, anytime we need to calm down or focus a little bit better.
Awesome. So when you're using those kind of calm down strategies, could you walk us through how that might look in your classroom?
Yeah, so I will either ring the chime that I have, or I'll clap my hands and I'll ask the students to just stop, look, and listen, and we'll all do it together most of the time. Sometimes if there's one student that's having a little bit of a difficult time, I'll ask them, what's a strategy you could use to help your body calm down right now? And I've often heard the response 5-finger breathing, and they use it themselves. They would do it, and it really helps them just be ready for learning again.
That's so great. So it helps you to, like, when that energy is too high or when the focus isn't there, it just gives you that second and that vocabulary and that strategy to help everyone to refocus and take that breather and then get back into it. I love that. So I'd love to know now, whenever we're starting a new program, there's a learning curve, just like there is in your first year of teaching, or it is, anytime you're trying something new. So was there anything with the EduComm classroom practice that was a bit of a hurdle in the beginning? And for those hurdles that you encountered, have you found a solution for getting over that hurdle?
Yeah, so at the beginning of our practice, I started with all the students sitting on the carpet. They were allowed to sit how they wanted, but we were all starting on the carpet. There was lots of little chatter and whispering, but I heard in one of your podcasts not to worry about that. That's okay, because it's normal and it happens all the time. So once we were able to do our EduComm practice a little bit better with a little bit more focus, I let the students kind of choose their own spot in the classroom. And we did that for a few weeks, but then I noticed it wasn't working and they were getting distracted and they were playing with things at the table. So I decided we're going to just all come back to the carpet or sit around the carpet where we're all close and we can all focus on our practice together.
I love that. It's so interesting to see, and hear from different teachers. Every single teacher has their own style of doing it, and it really changes from group to group as well. So it's awesome that, you try something. If it works, awesome. If you're noticing that it's not working, that doesn't mean you failed. It just means that there's a little bit of problem solving that needs to happen, and you kind of adjust, try something new. And sometimes the thing that you're doing works for a while and then you have to switch it up. So I like that you shared that, because it helps us to remember that it's about being flexible in the classroom and figuring out what works.
For sure.
Awesome. Any other hurdles that you encountered, or was the focusing during listening to the audio kind of the main thing?
Originally, I had planned to do more of the Educom booklets, but I just found it, like, as a first year teacher, was a little bit too much right in my first year. So I'm hoping next year I could do a little bit more of the booklets as well, to have that like written proof of how they're feeling every day, and it helps work on their writing in French too.
Yeah, I really liked using the booklets to work on that writing piece as well. So it was something that I always integrated into my language courses when I was teaching in middle school, and I taught them all the subjects. It was just like, yeah, a great ready to use resource when I was teaching grade 5 for the first time. It was like, oh, I always had a writing activity at hand. So it was really helpful.
Yes. Yeah.
Awesome. So I'd love to know now, what skills are you noticing that your students are really developing through this EduCom classroom practice?
I think they're really becoming conscious of their breathing, and they're learning how to take deep breaths, inhaling and exhaling with the audio. And they're learning about sharing their feelings, because sometimes in grade 2 it can be really hard to express how we're feeling. So now they've have this whole range of vocabulary that they've learned through the audios and through our sharing circles that they can use at any time in the day to express how they're feeling. If there's a recess problem or somebody took something that wasn't theirs, it's helping us solve problems.
That's awesome. So are you finding that as the year progressed, students were more able to solve problems independently?
That's still one of our goals. We're working on that. And we have also the Kelso's Choices wheel that Caitlin talked about in her interview with you. So that helps us as well to find a solution to our problems, as well as expressing how we feel.
Awesome. Love it. All right. So I'd love to know now, what do you like the most about using EduCom Classroom in your classroom?
I like the variety of different things to do. There's so many different options. Like there's a kindness unit that goes perfectly with February, with Valentine's Day and hearts. And there's a movement unit where you do breathing with your body, different things like that. Everything is different, and I can kind of tie it in to what I'm teaching at the time. So yeah, I just really love all the different units.
Awesome. Yeah, that variety is nice. It keeps things, there's enough repetition that students understand the structure of it, but enough variety that it doesn't get boring.
Yes, yeah.
Awesome. And what would you say is the most, or maybe what your students like the most about this program?
I think they just like the routine of it. Like they come in the morning and they know after announcements, oh, Canada, it's going to be EduCom. And sometimes my sound wasn't working, so I wasn't able to do EduCom a couple times. And the students were, Madame, but what about our practice? When are we going to do it? And I was, oh, sorry, guys, maybe we can practice the 5-finger breathing instead, or we can do one of the strategies we've learned. So they really expect it every day, and they're excited to do it.
That's awesome. So I'd love to know now, what has been what has turned out to be kind of the biggest challenge for you, specifically as a first-year teacher in this first year?
For sure, classroom management has been a big challenge, and that's actually one of my goals this year that I'm working with my vice principal, classroom management. I have 25 students, so it's quite a big class, and it can get very loud sometimes, or there's always something going on. It's never a dull moment. But with EduCom, like, I'm able to use my strategies that I've learned in combination with other strategies that I've learned in my practicum and at university. And it's a work in progress.
Yeah, and it always is. I love that you shared that, because classroom management is such a learning curve. It takes time for you to make mistakes, learn from them, develop your own unique ways of managing things. And yeah, pulling pieces from lots of different areas to help you to gain those skills, because it is a really it's really a skill, the classroom management piece. There is so much to manage, even in terms of, the materials in your classroom. There's the kids, there's timelines, there's the bells, like there's so much going on. So it definitely makes sense. I think most teachers would say in the first 5 years, classroom management is a big one. And then of course, I wish I could say that, okay, you'll know exactly what to do next year, but then you have a different group and you're learning all new things. Yeah.
Yeah.
So yeah, I can definitely empathize with that. So what would you say, what advice now would you give to someone going into their first year of teaching?
Don't be afraid to try different things. Like if something doesn't work the first time, just try it. You could try it again a different way. If a lesson doesn't go the way you planned, switch it up a little bit and try a similar lesson again. Or make a note of it and next year try something different. And not be afraid to try different things like yoga, movement breaks. Like I do some Go Noodles, Just Dance. So I'm trying to really give the students a variety of learning activities and trying to make it fun for them. So it's new for me too, these things, and I'm learning with them.
That's great. I love that growth mindset. Give it a try. And if it doesn't work, that's okay. Try something new next time. That's a great mindset to have, especially as a new teacher. So now I'd love to know specifically, what advice would you give to any teacher that is thinking of starting EduComm Classroom in their classroom?
So I would say, start off like me. I had the free trial, try it out and see how it works with your students, get a routine started. And if you're able to, continue with the full program and just make sure it's a routine, because when it's a routine, the students will know what to do and it'll become part of every day. So yeah.
That's awesome. Great advice. When the routine is there, then that makes the management of it easier because the students know the expectations. It's just part of the day. Whereas if you're only doing it every once in a while, it might be take more effort to get the students even, seated, ready to go. So when you're doing it every day, you minimize the amount of time spent on organizing it, I would say.
Yeah, and especially with the younger years, routines are so important for them at that age. So EduComm really fits in well with my group this year.
Perfect. Well, thank you so much for sharing your experience and your advice. Is there anything else that you want to share with the EduComm community before we end?
I appreciate your Instagram, so I would suggest everyone to follow you on Instagram because I love your motivational posts and the quotes that you have up there and the advice. It's really helpful and it's nice to see.
Awesome. Thank you for sharing that. So for those of you listening, you can follow us at EduCalm on Instagram. We're also on Facebook, but we're the most active on Instagram. That's where we like that Instagram's kind of like pretty. So we enjoy that aspect of that social media platform.
For
so
sure.
That's, EduCalm. So that's EduCalme. Awesome. Thank you so much, Amélie, for spending this time with us.
Thank you for having me. It was great.
All right. We hope that this episode helped you to start planning for getting back into your classroom and sharing mindfulness using EduComm Classroom, our ready-to-use social emotional learning and mindfulness program. If you haven't already started using this program, what are you waiting for? Go to educalm.com. That's spelled EduCalme, and start using our bilingual mindfulness program for free. You can find show notes for this episode by going to educalm.com/TBE, as in the Balanced Educator 113. We have links for you there for some of the resources that Amélie mentioned in this episode. If you enjoyed this episode, please share it with someone that you think will enjoy it too. Have a wonderful week.